targeted advertising at children and impose stricter limits on the personal data that companies collect on all of us. Fentanyl is killing more than 70,000 Americans a year. You got it. So let's launch a major surge to stop fentanyl production and the sale and trafficking with more drug detection machines, inspection cargo, stop pills and powder at the border. Working with couriers like FedEx to inspect more packages for drugs. Strong penalties to crack down on fentanyl trafficking. Second, let's do more on mental health, especially for our children.
I came in with a series of assumptions and biases. And one of those was that homelessness was a feature ultimately of drug addiction. I also thought it's also linked to mental illness and to extreme poverty.
So we have to confront the issue, and we have to discuss mental health, and we have to do something about it. You know, in the old days, we had mental institutions. In a lot of
has a point. There are too few beds, but the whole trajectory of mental health care in this country has been for the last 50 years to reduce that capacity in the guise or in the interest of providing more humane care. The problem is that it was easy to say we're going to close hospitals, we're going to reduce the budgets of states for mental health services, but they didn't provide anything in order to care for people in the community that's required. And as a result of that, we have the homelessness, the prisoners of mental illness, the mass violent events, the addictions, and a variety of social pathologies.
Our chief aim is to get people out of state custodial institutions and back into their communities and homes without hardship or danger. I have sent to the Congress today a series of proposals to help fight mental illness and mental retardation. These two afflictions have been long neglected. They occur more frequently, affect more people, require more prolonged treatment, cause more individual and family suffering than any other condition in American life. It has been tolerated too long. It has troubled our national conscience, but only as a problem unpleasant to mention, easy to postpone, and despairing of solution. The time has come for a great national effort. New medical, scientific, and social tools and insights are now available. With respect to mental illness, today nearly 1/5 of the 279 state mental institutions are fire and health hazards. 3/4 of them were opened before World War II. Nearly half of the 530,000 persons in our state mental hospitals are in institutions with over 3,000 patients, getting little or no individual treatment.
So here we are, almost 50 years later, and we just got 20,480,000 dropped in our laps from Uncle Sam. And this Wednesday coming up,
Michael Beck here, who reiterates his concern for misappropriated funds.
Talking about mental health, maybe a middle school health clinic there, but we are talking about cameras downtown on the waterfront. Oh, we're talking about portable stage replacement and EV chargers. Well, sounds sarcastic, but I'm frustrated.
A lot of mental illness there.
Yeah.
Is it? Do you think there's a lot of mental illness here?
There is. And, you know, if you could take care of some of them problems first, a lot of this would disappear. You know, if you drug treatment programs that actually work, you know, if they had that and take care of some of the mental illness and, you know, a lot of this would just disappear and go away. But the system ain't right.
The other thing there is there are reports that this individual had mental health issues, that he made threats to shoot up the National Guard. So clearly there were some signs here on someone's radar.
No one's
Right.
And that is either from a couple of things. Those individuals could have a fear of retaliation, because retaliation is real in this. And you know that.
Yes.
Okay. And the other part is some of these individuals may have a warrant, an outstanding warrant, and they're concerned that if they make a public statement or report,
when you're talking about the criminal activity, is this based, how much of it's based on hearsay, and how much you really have some kind of evidence to move forward?
So that becomes the issue, is that if you want to refer to it as hearsay, that hearsay is being shared by individuals who are engaged with case management. That is from the boots on the ground.
There's all kinds of pointing and blaming, and it's like and fighting and stealing. And towns separated in a town.
No, it's right there. They took a machete to my cat and sliced everything. The back wall, half of it's missing.
If we can't prove a case, if we don't have somebody who's willing to provide evidence and make statements, we are unable to pursue that as a criminal matter.
Who do you think did that?
I don't know. If I knew, I probably wouldn't be standing here.
Actions that we don't know of that may make it unsafe for other individuals. Well, they got to be dealt with, right? That situation's got to be dealt with. Whether they're dealing with it the best way or not, I'm not sure. But without the communication, who knows?
There's been talk of the fact that there's been increased crime or misconduct here. If this was an apartment complex or a housing unit that had 50 or 60 tenants, and 2 or 3 or 4 were causing a problem, you wouldn't evict half the building.
Don't usually come out during the day. Like, I go out at night where there's not a bunch of people around. Like, I'm not really a people person. Like, I know I seem it because I put on a good show, but I'm really not. I really don't work well with others. Like, I don't like being told what to do. Like, I know a little bit about a lot of things, and I like to do things my own way.
Everybody's struggles are as unique as they are. Is substance use disorder one of them? Of course. Are mental health issues one of them? Of course. Are some sort of personal trauma in their past one of them? Of course.
Is that we need to open up the dialogue. We can't stigmatize these illnesses anymore. And I think not only in my own family's case, which is just another family out there struggling, this is a common struggle. There's not a family in America that doesn't have a child with autism, a parent with Alzheimer's, a brother or sister with addiction or depression. These are all illnesses that affect our behavior, and then we affect our behavior.
So yeah, as I was saying, sometimes I have Tourette syndrome and generalized anxiety, which fortunately I'm not homeless myself, but it does make it hard to hold down a job. I'm obviously exercising and improving my work ethic, but it's safe to say that if it weren't for public resources, which I was too prideful to ask for in the past, I would very likely be homeless myself. And I don't see what issue I would be to anybody. So I do have, even though I'm cash poor, I'm time rich, and I do actually like to volunteer my time with the City Parks and Rec Department. I've built several trails in Essex Woods. The main one that I'm proud of is the climbing half of Spine Trail. Spine Trail, and the point I specifically want to show you is this lower, or at least on the map, the lower, or, well anyways, it's the south side of the trail. The climbing half of that, I actually got the privilege through the Penobscot Region chapter of the New England Mountain Biking Association to build that. I actually volunteered my year after I got out of high school, summer 2019, to build that. Got out of my second senior year at Hampton Academy, and then I went to Job Corps after that. This berm right here was not one of the last things. This was the exact last thing that I did. And by that point, fall of 2019, I remember it was cold, it was freezing, it was windy, very clear, but very windy, a little depressed, thinking, what is my future going to be like? And I ate myself sick with, I believe, pumpkin spice Cliff Bars. But hey, I went to Job Corps that following February.
Right now, for millions of Americans, mental health care and treatment for substance abuse is out of reach.
I mean, some of it needed to go. It was outdated and old, the Dungeness places or whatnot.
One of my friends had mentioned that he got electric shock therapy.
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard of that?
Yeah. I think they still do it. It's just not as. I'd be it actually works because I know I've seen some people that it actually works on,
Really?
and I've seen people that they shouldn't have done it to because it turns them into zombies for quite a while until they come back to the one people that I knew it was like they just weren't there. Then over the course of a few weeks or so, they'd come back and turn back into themselves, I guess.
Is out of reach. Less than half of all adults with mental illness diagnosis receive care for it. Less than half.
We thank Dr. McKee for helping us understand his brain damage and how it may have impacted his mental health and behavior.
Thing after another, like, fucking shit up. I've always thought it was them, but obviously, I mean, it can't be everybody, can it? Obviously, gotta be me.
When I was in Augusta at the whatever it's called now, the mental ward anyway, but a lot of people there that were I wouldn't want to have been them in their head. They had to, just the way they acted and dealt with things in life. I wouldn't want that to be me. I know that. And they'd go and have a treatment or whatever, and they'd seem to mellow them out, I guess. A lot of them would screaming and yelling and that would soothe it somewhat to where they were able to deal with, normal life things for a period of time, I guess.
The old thing, the rights of the individual versus the rights of society. So if you're moving in somewhere, you've got to respect the rights of society, the other individuals, right?
By releasing these findings, we hope to raise awareness of traumatic brain injury among military service members, and we encourage more research and support for military service members with traumatic brain injuries.
The dream of care for our elderly. The dream of an all-out attack on mental illness.
These are real crises. And I feel like, especially with mental health, the last ARPA meeting, you guys spoke to Katie, and it gave you a lot of information. I feel like with this meeting, at least, was a great time to sit down in the group, really look at what was shared with you.
4 days ago, people became aware of notices posted on trees. Some of them received a flyer that some of them may have to leave today. Many people have experienced difficult things in their lives. Many have been traumatized. And an action like this can re-traumatize people. No place to go. You don't know if you're supposed to move. And even if you're supposed to move, where are you going to go?
Well, we still have this much money left over. Maybe we can do something about this. I'm asking again, please, 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 put the focus back on housing, back on substance use disorder, and back on mental health. Those are the crises we're facing right now. This is rescue money. Please rescue us with it. Thank you.
What we're doing is we're standing up for a population that is marginalized and criminalized, right? And we are there for them. And our organization in particular, we're founded and led by either current or former drug users, right? So we've been where people are and we know what it's like. And that's why we're able to provide really effective services.
People realize more that it's an illness, and it's just, how can you blame somebody for having diabetes, It's just, it's an illness, depression, and schizophrenia, and all those diagnoses are mental or illnesses, and they're treated in hospitals now, and not asylums. So, yeah. So we've come a ways, but we have a ways to go in terms of.
I'm told my predecessor called members of Congress and the Senate to demand they block the bill. He feels political win. He viewed it as be a political win for me and a political loser for him. It's not about him. It's not about me. I'd be a winner. Not really.